The Dallas Cowboys have a great opportunity to acquire Devonte Adams. So we're going to be going through that and 3 other stories in today's video. So make sure to like this video, and if you want more Dallas Cowboys news content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hitting that red button down below. And thank you again as well for BetUS for sponsoring today's video. The first story is that the Dallas Cowboys trade targets to cure their offense. Now at the start of the season, the Dallas Cowboys offensive issues seems to be stalling drives. A trade could help. The only threats the team seem to have at the skill positions are ceedee Lamb and Jake Ferguson. One bright spot early on is Hunter Luke, and also who seems to be gaining steam as an offensive threat in the running and passing game. This player alone will not help the offense get to where they need to be, but any help is welcome. So here are some of the trade targets that are definitely in consideration. Now a big name is none other than a disgruntled Las Vegas Raider. Now the Las Vegas Raiders receiver Devonte Adams was not being happy with the Las Vegas Raiders since the trade of his best friend and college roommate Derek Carr. Could Devonte want to go on a team with a better chance of winning? According to NFL's network Ian Rappaport, Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce informed reporters on Friday that Devonte Adams, hamstring, and also Max Crosby, which had an ankle, would be present for the game against the Browns. Added to the injury report on Thursday, the 31-year-old Adams wouldn't fake or exaggerate an injury to miss a game. This could be a team not taking any chances on an actual injury due to Devonte Adams. If this is true, a blockbuster trade could be in the works. Would Jerry Jones pull the trigger on a trade of this magnitude? The trade would be a far established receiver, much like Amari Cooper trade, who is at his best in nearly any situation on the field. Having a legitimate quarterback and another superstar receiver on the opposite side would create a situation Devonte Adams has never been or had on a team. He appeared unhappy in Las Vegas after the beatdown the Raiders were receiving going into halftime of the Carolina Panthers game. Now, on top of this, it has seen on multiple clips all over Twitter where he shows his frustration. What would the Cowboys be getting in Devonte Adams? Well, they would be getting an all-pro caliber receiver. Over his 10 years in the league, he has 10,990 receiving yards, a 12.3 yard average, and 96 touchdowns. Those numbers would create mismatches for any defense in the league opposite ceedee Lamb. Having those two wide and also at Brandon Cooks in the slot would make this one of the best receiving corps in the NFL. Another name that also has been mentioned is a great player from the Panthers, as there is a fire sale that could be in the works. Now the Carolina Panthers benched their first round quarterback Bryce Young, which means that they could or have been targeting a high pick in the next draft. Eliminating talent would be the best way to get a high pick. The Panthers don't have too many offensive weapons, but one player getting buzz as possible to trade for is Deontay Johnson. Now, ESPN's senior NFL national reporter Dan Graziano actually had this to say. Johnson was traded for the Pittsburgh to Carolina this offseason. He's 28 years old, averaged 873 yards per season with the Steelers, and is making a mere $7 million this year. In the final year of his contract, if you pick him up halfway through the season, you're paying $3.5 million for a receiver with a solid track record. If Johnson's production benefits from the switch to Dalton at quarterback in Carolina, it could be a steal for the deadline. Many fans will remember Deontay Johnson from his 5 years with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He had his best season as a Steeler, but his production dropped off in his last few years. His best seasons as a Pittsburgh Steeler player were his second and third years in the NFL. During those seasons, he had a good quarterback play, which shows his ability as a receiver. In 2022 season, Beth Roethlisberger had a terrible year, and Deontay Johnson suffered from poor play. 2023 was his last year in Pittsburgh, and he had Kenny Pickett as a quarterback, and Deontay Johnson averaged 14 yards a reception. However, his targets were lower than in his rookie year. So, it does definitely show that Jerry Jones, the favorite person of every Dallas Cowboys fan, is a significant part of the team's problem. But Jerry and the front office need to help this team by making a trade to boost the team's chances of getting good wins. The New York Giants game was not a good win, but definitely a needed one, so to say. So guys and girls, week 5 of NFL is almost here, and we got the Dallas Cowboys playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, and a great bet that I'm absolutely loving right now is over 42 for the game against Steelers and Cowboys. Now, definitely go check this bet out on BetUS, guys. They have a 150% bonus on your first deposit, and then 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000 with code YouTube150. So we're going to be putting actually 100 on this and $90 potentially to win. We definitely like this one for the the over, and we are going to be confirming right that on BetUS, and it's literally just that simple. So excited to get this bet going for week 5, but like I mentioned, guys, definitely go check out BetUS. 150% bonus on your first deposit, and then 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000 with code YouTube150. The second story is that Jerry Jones' Cowboys is considered too cheap to hire Bill Belichick, especially with the wild rumor that is going around. Now, the Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones has made no secret of his admiration for Bill Belichick, openly and overtly stating how grand their friendship is. Meanwhile, Dallas present coach Mike McCarthy is a lame duck, working on the final year of his existing contract. At the same time, Belichick's media water-carrying FOBs spent a great deal of effort in 2023. The legendary coach's final year with the New England Patriots, whispering and leaking information about his interest in the Dallas job. So there is a possible match for the 2024 season as Belichick bides his time in his unemployment line, waiting like a 72-year-old vulture for the night job opening to grab, and there is nothing new about the connection. Now, there are some obstacles to the idea of Bill Belichick and the boys, as we often detailed the top 2. He has the game passed him by, that is a big question, and would Jerry really cede enough control, or would Belichick really enter a partnership for this to actually work? But now Pro Football Talks Mike Florio is suggesting that we should consider a third blockade to such a hookup, forecasting that Jones ultimately will be too cheap to pay Belichick. And we have no idea where Florio gets that idea. When Jerry hired Bill Parcells in 2002, the coach asked to be compensated in the range of the top 5 paid coaches in the NFL. Jones simply said yes, and with a reported 30 seconds, they had a 4-year, $17 million deal. When Jerry hired Jim Johnson in 1989, Jones surveyed the landscape. He learned that during this era, 3-time Super Bowl winner Bill Walsh of the 49ers had been making $1.4 million annually, and that Miami's Don Shula was making $1 million, and that Washington Joe Gibbs earned $927,000. So Jones, also aware that Buffalo is paying Marv Levy $322,000, signed up Jimmy to a deal worth $1.44 million. Now, which part of these stories sounds cheap to you? Presently, there are a handful of NFL coaches breaking the bank, and the Chiefs' Andy Reid has earned his $25 million annual salary, and the Broncos' Sean Payton at $18 million. Not so much, and last year, Belichick was making over $20 million annually with the Patriots. But otherwise, the middle range salary for an NFL head coach seems to be about $5 million, and that's in the range of what Jones pays McCarthy. Not cheap or middle range. At the end of the last season, following the playoff embarrassment against the Packers, Jones considered making a change before announcing. While we're all disappointed with the loss on Sunday, and with our playoff record, I am 100% supportive of as our head coach and ability to reach their goals. That stands for 2024. It says nothing about 2025. And if Belichick is at that time deemed by Jones to be the right guy, with obstacles number 1 and number 2 is dealt with, our study of Jerry Jones' actual actions, not silly Jerry's cheap memes, demonstrate that there is no reason for supposed obstacle number 3 to ever enter the service. Now on top of this, DeMarcus Lawrence may be out for also 4 to 8 weeks. Now Dallas Cowboys defensive DeMarcus Lawrence will not need surgery because of a Lim-Frank's injury to his right foot, since the bones are not displaced. The third story is that Cowboys make final decision on trade for Jets Hassan Reddick. Now, if the New York Jets plan on trading Hassan Reddick, it won't be a deal with the Dallas Cowboys. ESPN NFL insider Jerry Fowler was told by Reddick he isn't a viable option via trade due to cost. Now, Dallas is looking to pass rush options outside of the building after suffering a string of injuries in the Week 4 matchup versus the New York Giants. Superstar Micah Parsons suffered a high ankle sprain, and DeMarcus Lawrence is dealing with a mid-foot sprain. Fowler said Parsons is considered week to week, while the absence for Lawrence is considered more open-ended but is not season-ender. Now when it comes to Fowler, it did not clarify in the article for ESPN what he meant by the cost for Reddick would be too great for the Dallas Cowboys. Did he mean that the $14.25 million Reddick is scheduled to make in 2024, or did he mean the potential trade acquisition cost it would require to convince the Jets to pull the trigger? Of course, it could be a little bit of both. Reddick's salary is sizable, and that would limit the market of potential teams that could even trade for him. Those teams would have to find a way to fit Reddick under the cap to complete a deal. The Jets sacrificed a conditional 2026 third rounder to the Philadelphia Eagles to actually acquire Reddick in the first place back in March. For that to elevate to a second rounder, Reddick would have to record at least 10 sacks and appear to 67.5% of the defensive snaps. If the Jets traded him for nothing less than what they originally gave up to acquire him, they would look dumb. To be candid, trading him anywhere would probably make them look silly unless they got more back when they gave up. That seems unlikely because any team acquiring Reddick would only get him as a rental for the rest of the season. It is a fair question to ask, what version of Reddick would you even be getting? Is he in shape? Is he in football shape? Plus, he's disgruntled over his contract. Would he even report to his new team once he was traded? We have a lot more questions than answers at this point. Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers joked and or hinted that Reddick might have fired his agent during an appearance on the Pat McCaffrey show. NFL insider Diana Rossini of The Athletic cleared up those rumors. That didn't actually happen. Dandy is still communicating with the Jets on behalf of his client, Rossini revealed in a column posted on Saturday, September 28.